Hi everybody, and welcome to Working Horses with Jim. This is part 2 of my short series on my sled that's getting rebuilt by Sam, a neighbor of ours. And so I'm going to show you where he's at this point. I just brought some paint over, or some stain over, for him to actually put stain on it to preserve the wood, which would be great. So let's go in and see where he's at. He's not here right now, so I'm just going to show you where he's at on this sled. So it's a little bit dark in here, but you should be able to see it enough to see what he's got done. As you can see, these are pieces of wood that he actually did last year when he started fixing my sleds. But everything else on this sled, except for the steel, is all brand new out of all fresh wood. So this that we're looking at is the front bunk. And this here is the rear bunk, which he has a little bit more work to do on this, but not too much. And then I will come over in a couple days and it should probably be all done and all painted and all ready to go to the woods. So you wait till then and we'll show you the end product. Hi everybody, here we are a few days later back at Sam's shop. And it looks like my sled is done. I know he still has to put paint on it, but it looks like everything else is done on it. So it's pretty well identical from the last year when I used it, except for one thing. And that is the rear sled. The tongue is going to be hitched right at the front bunk, just with a pin there, where last year this was actually hitched to right here, and we were thinking that this is going to work a lot better. So we had to cut the old tongue at a bit of an angle to put this new tongue in place. So I'm looking forward to trying that out and seeing how it's going to work. And now all they have to do is put some paint on it, and I'll be back over to pick it up. So I'll continue to show what's going on here. And on YouTube, there's not too many people that do this.
Right.
And so they see the way I do it, but they don't see the way you guys do it.
Okay, yeah.
So I just wanted to give you guys just a quick look here about how the Amish do their barn cleaning most of the time. They back right in here with their manure spreader. This is the same barn I was in earlier. And they back right in here with the manure spreader and team and shovel it right on. It's a lot of work the way they do it, but they get her done. Getting ready to paint?
Yes.
Good. Maybe I'll watch you for a second. Well, I'm back at it. Or I should say Sam's back at it. He's getting his paint sprayer going and he's gonna throw some paint on here. So I just came over to pay him actually. So I paid him, and now we might as well watch him paint for a couple minutes. There's his heat source for this building. One thing we're not putting back on the sled this year is my runner chains. So these are the runner chains. We live in an area where we don't have a lot of hills, so I really don't have a need for the runner chains, but fortunately, and I'm definitely going to keep them where I can grab them and put them back on if I need to, because I can just bolt them back on and they'll be good to go. But they're kind of a nuisance to have if you really don't have a need for them. I'm going to run these chains out. I'm going to take these chains out in the car, so I'll take these home. Okay, Sam's starting to paint, but I've got to run, so you're just gonna have to wait till I come back to get the finished sled to see how it's all looking. Well, good morning, everybody. We are finally gonna go and get my sled today. It's a bright, beautiful, chilly winter day, but we're gonna go. It's all done, it's all painted, and we're gonna go pick it up today. We'll probably take a couple of horses across the field and actually drag it home. But this morning I'm spreading manure, and I wanted to show you guys that I actually have two of the Suffolks here this morning. We have Baron and Duke. And I'm curious what you guys think about the different combinations I do. So today, after I spread this load, this will be the second load, and I'm going to spread this, and then I'm going to hitch Earl up, bring Earl out to work with Baron. So I'm curious, and I hope you guys would put in the comments even, which team makes the best looking team of these three horses? Is it Baron and Duke or Baron and Earl? I more often than not use Ken and the younger colts, and that is a really good combination, and I would have used them today, but Baron just needs the exercise, and I like to use the Suffolks together. I like to have that matched pair. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to work all three of these guys, and then probably a little later today I'll hitch up Ken because he needs his exercise, and probably continue with Baron, and we'll go get the sled. As much as I like to use Baron with Duke and Earl, it's not the best combination. Baron has been logging and he is in great shape. He is fed a fair amount of grain, so he just feels good. So he just wants to really go. And so it makes it a little bit hard with a colt that's not in shape, because they don't tend to have a lot of energy to do a lot of work like he does. But they're doing quite well. And we'll see how he goes with Earl after we unload this load. But I'm going to set the camera up so you could watch these two together and see what you think as far as either Baron or Duke or Baron and Earl make the best looking team. Okay, so there you have Baron and Duke. Duke is the off horse, Baron is the nigh horse. So Baron is on the left, Duke is on the right. Now let's get Earl. Okay, now we have option number 2. We have Earl on this side, and we have Baron on the other side. So the question is, which combination make the best looking team? I'm gonna get them loaded up and we'll move out of here and maybe you can see better while they're moving which is a better team. Now I realize that I'm actually showing the team from Baron's side, and he's actually the taller horse because he has shoes on partially, but still I wanted to put the camera exact same spot for both pair to give you guys a good angle at the same spot to decide which pair you guys think are the best matched pair.
Boy, I almost got in trouble here as I jumped on. Earl tried to swing out of there faster before I was ready for him to go, and he actually somehow got his head or nose around the inside line, and he had a difficult time. I had a difficult time pulling him back to where we belong. Fortunately, I was able to do it, and all was well.
Okay guys, I'm curious what you're thinking. Which combination of these three horses do you like the best? I personally am probably at this point thinking it's this combination right here of Earl and Baron. Of course they are full brothers, and Duke and Baron are only half brothers, and Duke and Earl are half brothers. So I don't know, just my preference. Now Brenda, she prefers Duke and Baron. So let me know what you guys are thinking, just out of fun. Tell me which combination of these two look the best as a team. Okay, we have our sled now. We're headed home. We've been possibly having some audio difficulties, so we're not sure what we do actually have. But anyways, I'm really happy with the sled. As I even turned out of there, I saw they turned really nice. You know, the color's not quite like I expected, but it's perfectly fine. I wasn't particular about the color. But no, I think it looks great. Let's head it home. I'll explain to you a few things of why we're using a cart on here as opposed to a long tongue. Gotcha.
I like the color of that shed.
Yeah.
I like the color of her. It may not be what you would think for a sled, but I like the color.
Good.
Give you guys a picture of the surroundings here. It's kind of neat around here. Nice view from up here.
Let me talk a little bit about why I have the cart on here, hitched onto the sled instead of having a long pole or a long tongue. This sled is for logging. So when I log, it's mostly But when I have a long distance logging job, if it's close, I won't bother. I'll just use my regular logging cart. And generally, I will pull this with my logging cart, not this cart here. I can pull it with this cart perfectly fine, but I generally like the idea of hitching onto my cart in the morning, hitching onto this sled if I'm not already hitched to it, go into the woods, pull the pin, log, and skid a short distance, and then stop, and I'd have a piece of machinery in the woods, a skid steer or an excavator, and then I would load the logs on to the sled. So instead of having to unhitch from the cart and hitch onto the sled every time, I just hitch up one time and then I can do it all right from that one, just right from the cart. Another big advantage of having a cart as opposed to a tongue on here is I can load this sled without having the horses anywhere near it if I choose to, if I want to. And even if I have the cart hitched to the sled when I'm loading it, there's always a risk loading logs, especially in the wintertime, that they could easily just slide forward or whatever and actually slide right into the horses. By using the cart, I can, if I wanted to, I can just disconnect it, or I'm going to be a little bit farther away from the sled than I would be with the cart. I mean, with the tongue on the sled. But also, I have the cart itself to be a barrier between the horses and the logs. And a lot of times I'll use the excavator to load the logs with. And it just, if you lose grip or something and the logs were to slide, it's so nice to be able to know that that cart is going to somewhat protect the horses from a sliding log. And so that's why I do it. Now the disadvantages of the cart over a hitches directly onto the tongue, I think that it would pull a lot easier if the horses were hitched to a tongue. And if you look back here on the short tongue that I have, you'll see a hook kind of tipped over right now. But that is what you would hitch the evener to pull the sled. So what happens is the horses are back, my goodness, they're back 6 or 7 feet closer to the sled that you're pulling. So that means generally you can pull a lot more because you're back, you're closer to the load. So there's disadvantages and advantages, and I just have to choose what works best for me, and that's what generally works best for me. Another beauty about things, and I probably still wouldn't use it for hauling logs, but if I wanted to use this sled for example, a sleigh ride, I could throw some 2x6s, 2x8s on that sled, and I could actually haul people with it. And I could actually also just drill a couple bolts through that tongue and add an extension to it, and so I could use it as a tongue as opposed to needing the cart to tow it. This afternoon, Baron has been basically walking the whole way, but he still has that spring in his step. If I let him go, he would just go. He just has a lot of energy, that horse does. So here we are coming up on the little ditch here. It's more like a swale. I would call it a swale. And it's got a lot of water in it. The horses definitely do get the feet back.
That really seems to travel nice. You think?
I do.
It just seems like it moves so nice. I remember how last year you did so good logging with it. Till it broke.
But it really wasn't much different than that. The screw. The screw is actually better because it's more stable.
Well, I'm just saying, when you have the frozen conditions and you put it on something like that, you can haul a lot of logs.
Blacktop, it's gonna be noisy, but I might spook a little bit, but they're used to it. Because I come out with this scoop quite often. So this is actually good because it shines up the runners.
Oh, I bet that feels hard. You said no, though. You didn't think it did.
Yay. You went by when we left, you went by when we came back.
Probably picking up the kids at school.